Just coming off of a road stretch against UNO and St. Thomas. Kind of similar situations in both games. Felt like we had pretty good first halves, and then second half defensively, just really, struggled to get stops when we needed to, and offensively in both games, just struggled to consistently score in the second half.
And we'll jump straight to Jay here for questions.
Carrie, what do you think? What do you make of that? I mean, that's kind of been a consistent thing on the road, where you guys might have had a solid first half, and then in the second half, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's adjustments on the other side or just losing that focus or something in the second half. But have you been able to pinpoint anything as you kind of reconsidered it all?
Yeah, usually it's adjustments. UNO, went to a zone in the second half, and we struggled to attack it. UNO, in our man, obviously Grace got in a little bit of foul trouble, so we had to change some matchups. And I think that bothered us a little bit. I thought in the first half we did a pretty good job against, Jaw hit some shots in the first half, but I thought we did a pretty good job, like scouting report, kind of guarding our tendencies, and then second half, for whatever reason, we didn't. But the zone bothered us against UNO. We couldn't find the right open looks. Looking back at film, there were open looks. We just, for whatever reason, couldn't find those in the moment. And then against St. Thomas, in the second half, they made a couple of good adjustments, changed who they had guarding Grace. They moved number 4 onto Grace, and she did a nice job against her, didn't let her get downhill very well. And changed our shot selection, changed what we were able to get, and ended up, I think we only shot 7 free throws in that game, compared to, I think, St. Thomas was 17, 18, something like that. So, mostly the adjustments, I think, and us struggling to, usually it's a chess game, and that, for whatever reason, sometimes we respond well and are able to make those adjustments and find ways to be successful in the second half. For whatever reason, both those road games, we just struggled to be able to make the adjustments we needed to make.
Denver coming up this week to round out the regular season. They're an interesting team in that obviously they love the three. They've done that through Doja's entire time there, and can be dangerous when they're hitting them. But you look at their record, it's a little deceiving in some ways, because they're 1-13, but just in going back through, their results, 9 of those 13 losses have been by 8 points or less. I mean, they're competitive. They're just not finding ways to win. What do you make of that? And have you experienced anything quite like that? 1-13, you usually expect that margin to be significantly higher than what it's been for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case, actually. I mean, I think there's a pretty fine line and a slippery slope to winning and losing games. I've seen that actually happen quite a bit, where a team is really, really competitive and scary, and for whatever reason they have a ton of close games and they just can't get over the hump. And I feel like that's the case with them. I mean, they're dangerous. Obviously, JoJo and Emma Smith can get going, and they've got some kids that can play, and for whatever reason, they've been in those games. They just haven't been able to find a way to win. And I just think there's when you get into conference play, especially deep into conference play, a lot of games come down to a few possessions. And even if they end up being more than like double-figure games, at some point there was probably a moment where it went from a close 1-2 possession game to a 6-7 possession game. So. Yeah, I mean, they're scary for sure, and they've got some capable scorers and have had some games that have been really impressive. So definitely not a team to take lightly.
You got them the first time out there, won it by 6. You won the game, and that's the most important piece. But what do you feel like you need to do different or better in this one to make things a little bit more comfortable for yourselves?
Well, in the first game we played them, Lex hit 8 threes. I highly doubt they're going to allow her to have that many good looks again. So we're going to have to kind of expect to have some different answers. I think most people, when they saw Lex hit 8 threes that early in the conference season, everybody immediately did something different there. So, obviously it's been a while since we've played them. Both teams look a little bit different. So we're going to have to be able to, like I said, find some offense a little bit differently. We can't expect to do the same thing as we did the first time and beat them.
You mentioned Lex, and obviously started with South Dakota State, and then it carried over to Omaha, and even at the same time, she's starting to make some shots, and she struggled to do that for a long time. Are you seeing her confidence start to grow a little bit, that basket looking a little bit bigger for her?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's important to have, if you have one game where you hit a couple shots after struggling, and then that's a little bit of confidence, right? But you start to, string together 2 or 3 where you're hitting, some shots and feeling like, okay, hey, I can shoot the ball. That's important for us. And we've talked about this multiple times, but finding some players who consistently can contribute on the offensive end is obviously been indicator of whether or not we're able to win a game. When we get 3 or 4 kids in double digits, we're usually pretty successful. When we only get 1 or 2, then it's tough.